I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
He's an American 5,000 miles from home. Caught in a war between two brothers. The challenge. He will learn loyalty, love, honor, vengeance. He will learn to accept the challenge. Scott Glenn, star of Urban Cowboy, in The Challenge, rated R.
Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check newspaper for theater and showtimes.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is actually a film I have reviewed in the past. I forgot about that, but this was a PayPal request for Wes. Thank you so much for that. I did say it could be for review or re-review or pretty much any list, reaction, whatever. You just send the request either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box, and I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. I promise. I will try. But the challenge, it was fun to rewatch this again because I do quite enjoy it. I think it's actually one of the better kick-ass samurai movies. And it's directed by John Frankenheimer, who did The French Connection 2, Reindeer Games, The 96 Island of Dr. Moreau, which I would say go watch the documentary where it showcases how Richard Stanley, the director of Hardware, was going to do it. I think it's called Lost Souls, The Doomed Journey of Island of Dr. Moreau. That documentary is better than the actual fucking movie. So go watch that instead. But, John Frankenheimer, I definitely think this is one of his best ones. I think this is easily one of my favorite films he directed. It stars? Yeah. A lot of stars. Well, I mean, some people did fucking cut up to bits, so I'm sure they got some stars later. The ones that survived. But it stars Scott Glenn, who I really enjoy as an actor. One of my favorite roles of his. He plays a burnt-out American boxer. And one thing leads to another. He gets his job to take this sword from one place to another. When he gets there, he gets grabbed, and you find out that the sword is fake. And he's used as a decoy to bring the real sword in. And so they're ready to kill him. He escapes. He gets hurt. He's brought into this group of people, and you realize it's this battle between these two Japanese brothers. One is a Yakuza. The other is Toshirō Mifune from the Seven Samurai, among many others. The great Toshirō Mifune. And there's also some other people that was nice to see that I recognize. Although one is Sab Shimono. He's in pretty much the early part of the film. I'm like, I recognize this guy. He's one of the bad guys in the 90s Ninja Turtles 3 movie. He's been in a lot of other stuff too. Another guy was, I forget his name, Kavad Yun. He works with the bad guys. I'm like, I recognize this guy. He's one of the bad guys of Clarence Boddicer's gang in RoboCop. When RoboCop goes to the factory and he's like, fuck you. and then gets killed soon after that. And the whole factory drug warehouse battle sequence, that's him, and he's in this. And Scott Glenn, he was a character I kind of relate to in a way. Relate to is the wrong word, but I did enjoy his personality. You know, the first scene, he's in a boxing, like, training, and the guy's, like, giving him shit. Yeah, show him what a fighter used to be. And Scott Glenn's like, why not? And he beats the fuck out of the guy. And the guy's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is just training, and it's for him. What are you doing? You get the fuck out of here. And like how Scott Glenn, he just doesn't understand this war between the two. Like, you guys are killing each other for fucking war souvenirs. So I thought Scott Glenn was a very likable, and maybe I do mean relatable based on the certain reactions as an outsider. Like when he's getting healed up by this group of people, including Toshirō Mifune, who is a master martial arts, has his training, I don't want to say dojo, but this area. And just how Scott Glenn reacts to stuff. Like, this is our dinner. Well, when do you cook them? We don't. And just Scott Glenn's reaction to this crab that's still alive, and this little eel thing that you're supposed to drink, and you know, that it's relatable, fun reactions like that that maybe center in on the main character that much more. And I thought Scott Glenn, like I said, he's a very capable actor. It's not a whole lot of times he'd have to be the star of a film, especially with this kind of action film. And then very rarely. Usually he's supporting role. I think there's one called Slaughter of the Innocents, which I haven't seen, I've heard of. There's another movie, I can't remember what it was, but again, very rarely he'd have to be the star. And play the hero, I should say, as well. Because I saw one where he played the Night of the Running Man, where he was the villain, the main villain. That was really good. He was great as the villain in that. But here, you know, the training scenes, he's hitting a sword and fucking bends. And he's getting more used to the people, because one of the reasons he's there is he later gets an offer. If you steal the real sword, you bring it to us, we'll give you a shitload of money. So he's thinking about it. Ultimately, he does the right thing. And he learns a bit more about honor. He learns a little bit more about humility. And he actually starts believing in the cause and asks for forgiveness. And you have this whole sequence where they dig a hole. He's put in there. You can give up whenever you want, but he's going to last as long as he can because he really believes in this. So he's singing stuff like, deep in the heart of Texas. And he's like, this is bullshit. I really am a dumb shit. See, that's, again, helps with the relatability of the character. The score by Jerry Goldsmith is nicely done. I swear there's certain elements of the score that reminds me of what he would do in later Rambo films, which is a positive. So I really like Jerry Goldsmith's music. I thought John Frankenheimer's direction was very competent. It moved at a good pace. The idea was cool to see people like Toshirō Mifune, like this kid who's not an annoying or irritating kid. He's likable. He's getting along with Scott Glenn, and they have a nice little friendship going on. And then the third act, when the kid gets hurt and the daughter Toshirō Mifune's taken, and pretty much Scott Glenn and Toshirō Mifune have to get into this, I don't want to say fortress, but that's the word I'm thinking of, this building, this office building. That's what it is, an office building. And you got Scott Glenn with firepower, you got Toshirō Mifune fucking people up with swords. Yeah, cool end fight. I don't know, I guess you would call it a samurai fight. If that's what you call it, it's one of my favorites in any movie. Because, again, relating to Scott Glenn's character, you come and get it, asshole. And just this fight in this office, just how busy it is, just how, what I mean by busy, they do anything, everything. They're throwing shit around with him fighting this guy with a sword. They're going through all over the office, going over stuff, using the lights to blind your opponent, trashing the entire office. There's a point where he finds a stapler and he staples the other guy's forehead. The comeuppance is so satisfying. Spoiler alert. Spoilers. He's able to use his wits while he's bloodied up and he's got blood coming between his eyes, and Stockton comes up and hits the guy and splits the guy's head in half like a fucking watermelon. I remember the first time I saw this, I went, holy shit. That was really... It makes sense why it gets an R rating, but at the same time it's so graphic. It goes, oh shit moment. There's a very smart way of doing it. Because he did that, it could have easily gotten an unrated, not rated, NC-17, whatever was around at the time. Probably this film's not rated. Or rated X. It'd be rated X. But the way they shot it from behind, but you still get that visceral split in half like a watermelon. Ooh. I can still feel it. And just, it doesn't overstay its welcome. He comes out bloody, but he puts the sword down in front of Toshirō Mifune, and things are alright. So you have a guy who has become the student for Toshirō Mifune's character, and he was during the fight, he's able to get a little bit of his boxing moves in there too. That was cool. They didn't completely leave that out during the fight. And it's very rough and tumble. I think one of the reasons I like that fight is it's not overly choreographed. It felt more real, just more rougher, just thrown around, but you still just, and apparently Steven Seagal was a choreographer on this. Because at the end credits it says Steve Seagal, martial arts choreographer. So apparently Steven Seagal did this before he started movies like Above the Law. So go figure. Which if that's Seagal, instead of doing shitty direct-to-video films, why don't you be a choreographer? You did a good job in this, just be a choreographer then. So that was interesting. I don't know if anyone's ever asked Seagal about that, but when they happen, they're pretty... It's not as much action as maybe one would think. It's not an action-packed movie. So if you're going in thinking it's to be wall-to-wall sword fights, you may be disappointed. But I got into the story. I got into Scott Glenn's character. I bought his change of relating more to this group of people, mixed in with the competent director by John Frankenheimer, the score by Jerry Goldsmith. And then I thought the ending fulfilled what I wanted out of the film action-wise, especially the last fight. I thought was really good. So again, if you're expecting wall-to-wall action, it doesn't have that. There's a little bits here where there's like a chase here, or there's a bit with Scott Glenn and them in the woods, and it lasts like 20 seconds. But so yeah, I'm a sucker for action. I would not have minded more action, sure, of course, but I still rather the film. I think it's a bit underrated. No one really talks about the film. The last time I talked about it, it didn't even have a DVD, a Blu-ray. Now it is out on Blu-ray, which is nice. Not a lot of features on it, Sally, but it's nice to have finally got a release. Looks good on Blu-ray. And yeah, the challenge, if you like modern samurai type of movies, or swordplay, that type of stuff, you want to see a movie with Scott Glenn, who's a good actor. He made it work as the star of the picture. It's well worth a look. It's well worth a look. Still held up for me to this day. So with that said, it also helps when I can really latch on to a lead character. That could go a long way for me. And this is one of those instances. And like I said, if the end fight was lackluster, I'd be like, but again, I thought it was really nicely done. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.